Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Career Corner podcast where we answer your cozy career questions. I'm your host, Malcolm Alexander, and I am super excited to be joined by Katherine Kummerer today. Hi, Katherine.
Hi, it's great to be here. I'm so excited.
Yes, thank you so much for taking some time to be here. To start us off, I'd love to hear a little bit about some of the sort of extracurricular activities outside of class things that you were involved in during your time on campus.
Yeah, when I was at Ithaca, I tried to do literally everything, especially in the park school, that I could get my hands on. I did a lot of ICTV because I knew I wanted to go into like live TV production of some sort. So, I started off doing kind of like the behind the scenes roles freshman year, on different news shows and like basically, I guess worked my way up to doing more like not that I would say like more important things, but like directing and producing some different news and sports shows at ICTV. Um, I was on the executive staff for my junior year. I was the director of publicity, so I was kind of like overseeing and managing all of the social media platforms and stuff, which was a really, really cool experience. So ICTV definitely was like a great hands-on experience for my whole time at Ithaca. But other than that, I was in our club called NIFSA, the New York Film and Television Student Alliance. I was pretty heavily involved in that my freshman and sophomore and a little bit of junior year. I was the vice president of NIFSA, and that was a really, really amazing club on campus where I think it was like really especially great for underclassmen. We would have weekly or biweekly meetings where we would have real industry professionals Zoom or join us for like a 1 hour Q&A session basically. And that was so amazing to kind of get to know what the industry is really like professionally once you're out of school. And that was a really great experience, especially being so young in college that I feel like a lot of people might not get, or it's just exposure to um a lot of different roles or career paths, I guess, that you can take after school. So just like that was great for getting to know the industry and kind of dipping your toes in and figuring out what you want to do and talking to professionals. And we also took a yearly New York City trip. So we got to meet with alumni in the city and tour different things, and that was really cool. I also was in creative media, so I was doing photo and video for some of the different sports teams. I worked mostly with the swim and dive team because I used to be a swimmer, so I was just partial to that. Um, and yeah, I think that's about all I did in park. But I also was on the club swim team, so that was a great, fun little thing. We had practice like at night once I was done with ICTV and shooting whatever game I was shooting for creative media. Like that was a nice way to unwind, and it was a great group. So I would definitely recommend finding a club outside of your extra and co-curriculars if you have time for that. It's a really fun way to also find like a new group of friends and obviously keep active and yeah, different. It was like a change of pace from constantly like being on the park grind. So,
I love that you're shouting out clubs because, yes, I feel like, especially within Park, it's really common for people to get really wound up in extracurriculars, which are great and can be super
yeah.
helpful in getting jobs. But clubs are A, really fun, and B, can also be helpful in your career trajectory. You kind of never know who you're going to connect with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely shouting those out. Really, really awesome. I'd love to hear if any of the positions, the multitude that you worked while you were working with ICTV, if any of them felt particularly like impactful to you? Anything that felt like, okay, I learned the most doing blank.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of directing I guess I started sophomore year, and I guess that was kind of my go-to position on the station. Not to like brag, but I won Director of the Year twice in a row. But that's not important. I think that that was like my most influential role, and I think that that position as director, when you're calling the shots on a live show, especially, um, you have to be so aware of everything that's happening around you, and you have to be able to listen to a million conversations and also communicate to the whole rest of your cast and crew what needs to happen. And especially when you're live and you're kind of in control of the mood, especially if things are going wrong, like you need to learn how to stay calm and not kind of freak everybody else out, which is definitely a learning curve and definitely super hard when you're first starting out. Like, and really nerve-wracking, but I don't know, you like with anything, practice makes perfect and you kind of get used to it. And especially if you like on ICTV, you're doing the same position for the same show for a whole semester, at least. So you kind of you get so familiar with the show and how things work and the people you're working with and the show flow that you get into a rhythm, which is really nice. And you kind of, that's how you like figure out what you're doing. Um, but anyway, I think since being a director, you have to be tapped into everything that's going on. And I think that that's why it was like the most fun thing to do for me. Um, no two shows or 2 days or anything are the same. And it's definitely a lot of pressure, but I don't know. I like working under pressure, I guess, for some reason. And I like being able to communicate with everybody and kind of decide how the show is going to look and how it's going to flow and kind of putting the producer's vision into play and actually making it happen. I really enjoy that side of things. Um, and it definitely was super daunting. I didn't sign up to direct when I did it for my first time. They kind of just didn't have a director and they threw me in there and I was like, "What?" Like, are you sure? But it was for the best, honestly, because I got to direct Newswatch and Evening in America and Bombers Live and Next Player Up and all of our election shows, both live and pre-recorded shows, and it was just so much fun. And also, it's a great thing for a resume. And when people like in the real world are looking at your resume, they were pretty impressed by the productions that Ithaca College and ICTV has done. So to be able to say that you directed them in the truck for Bombers Live or, live election coverage, like that is a really cool thing.
100%. I'd love to
Mhm.
hear a little bit about for maybe students that are listening that are maybe in a similar position as you were, who were sort of thrown into a new job that they maybe don't feel quite prepared for, maybe feeling imposter syndrome, or maybe just having a hard time juggling schoolwork with these extracurricular duties. Do you have any sort of advice for students like that?
Yeah, I would definitely say something I've been thinking a lot about recently too is always say yes to everything and try to say no as little as possible because you're going to learn so much and you're going to show people that you are willing to do something and learn how to do something even if you don't quite know how to do it yet. If you're thrown into something, it's because people trust you and trust that you can do that. So even if you didn't directly sign up for it, they are they trust that you can like step up and do what they need you to do. And honestly, everything at Ithaca is just for your learning experience at the end of the day. So nobody's expecting you to do anything perfect, especially the first time or the first few times. So it is really important to keep that in mind. We're not doing brain surgery. What's the worst that could happen? Someone, I don't know, you take the wrong graphic while you're live on air. Like there are so many worse things that could happen. But yeah, it's all for your career development and professional growth, but also like a great way to experience a bunch of things while you're in school and you're working on these shows with your friends. Like you'll never have something like this again. It's a great time to try everything that you possibly can. And I would say for trying to juggle schoolwork and extracurriculars and whatever, I would definitely say that if you're the type of person that likes to be busy, that might not be too much of an issue for you. At least for me, I mean, I always had time to do my homework and, get things done for class that I needed to and sleep 8 hours. And then other than that, I would like fill my day with ICTV shows or going to hear a guest speaker on campus or, just like being in the hallways of park if I had nothing else to do, just like seeing seeing the my fellow students and faculty and everything. I just loved to be surrounded by that. And I feel like if you do really love what you're doing, then it doesn't always feel like juggling. I definitely had plenty of times where I felt like crazy busy and overwhelmed, but at the end of the day, everything got done and I had a lot of fun doing it. I was pretty on top of my schedule and staying organized. Shout out Google Calendar, like that was like a game changer. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, you can always try something and then if you don't like it, you don't have to do it again. So I would always say that, like, especially with that safety net of being in school, like, this isn't a full-time job or anything. Try something because who knows what might happen. And the worst that could happen is you don't really like it and you just don't keep doing it. So, yeah, it just like, yeah, again, being in school and getting to try all these different things is just like an experience that you won't have again. So definitely, I would say take advantage of that opportunity.
100%. And once, I think, like you just said, once you start enjoying it and understanding it, it stops really feeling like work and starts feeling more like just this fun thing that I get to do that takes up part of my day.
Right.
I'd love to hear a little bit about your non-IC experiences. So your internships and I guess your work with NBC.
Yeah. So most recently I was at NBC Sports. So I was in Stamford, Connecticut during the Olympics, and then I got to also go back for the Paralympics, which was really awesome. Um, I was an operations runner at NBC Sports, so I wasn't too involved in the actual production. I was kind of helping the building run during the Olympics and Paralympics kind of in every other way possible, mostly administrative tasks or running something like running errands across the building, basically, is how I like to put it. The basic like getting coffee and food for people that are too busy in a live show and can't get up. I was kind of doing all of that. And at first, when I was assigned that role, I was like a little bummed out that I wasn't doing anything directly in production. But I absolutely loved my time at NBC and I loved the nature of my role and how I got to meet so many different people. I wasn't assigned any specific crew or show, and I was working 21 days straight for 12-hour days. So I was kind of around for all of it. Yeah, it was exhausting, but it was so much fun. I would do that again in a heartbeat. And I was thrilled when they asked me to come back for the Paralympics and do it all again. Um, but it was a great opportunity to get to meet a bunch of different professionals. A lot of them there are for the Olympics are freelance, so they're not at NBC year round or anything. The Olympics are such a big production. They had like 20 different control rooms and four different studios going for different shows. Like there was so much going on, and I was able to help anyone and everyone in all of those different areas. And if I didn't have an immediate task at hand, I was able to go shadow or go talk to new people. And everybody there was so, so kind and welcoming and like willing to talk to you. And they knew that there were students or recent grads that were in the immersion program, which is what I was in. So they wanted to get to know you and they wanted to know where you went to school and what you want to do. And they know you don't want to be a runner forever, but it's great that you're getting your foot in the door. And I mean, even to say you were a runner for the Olympics and for NBC Sports, like that is so amazing. And so I gained such a better understanding of how a huge mega event production like that goes on. And it was really reassuring and affirming that they wanted me back for the Paralympics too. Um, the Paralympics were a few weeks after the Olympics ended, and there are a lot less events in the Paralympics, especially in the Winter Paralympics. So it's a much smaller production. So they didn't need the whole team. The NBC office was like pretty much converted to Olympics mode during the Olympics. There were thousands of employees. Everybody was doing Olympics coverage, but for the Paralympics, it was like pretty much back to normal. And there was definitely a smaller crew working on Paralympics. So the fact that they wanted me to come back and be part of that small crew was really awesome. And I had two other runners that also got to come back with me, and we had a really good time. And yeah, I just feel like that job, the nature of the job as a runner kind of let me learn the lay of the land and how things operate and really just give me a better understanding of all of that. And this was my first experience, like real world experience that was in TV and live TV, which is what I want to do. Before I had interned as like mostly video editing for, I was at page 6 of the New York Post last summer, which was really awesome, like a great city experience. I was an intern for a company that's like they're called Rico USA. They're like a digital services company. So not like a media company or anything, but I got to be on their marketing and creative team and kind of doing stuff like that. So it's great that I've been able to do a variety, but NBC is definitely more of like that is like more of the path I want to take, I guess. Um, and it's just amazing that they do that program for students and recent grads. Like I found out about it through literally Park News. Like if you're not reading Park News, like you need to read Park News. Um, they had applications open in like the fall semester, and I was like, wow, this is perfect. I graduate in December. They wouldn't have me start for the Olympics until January or February. That could be a great next step after graduation. So I applied, and a lot of Ithaca students go every Olympics, but I found out that this year was like the most that they've ever had, which was really cool. Um, but yeah, the name of Ithaca College has an in at NBC Sports and at a lot of other places, and I think that definitely leveled up my application and my interview and stuff. And I feel like the hardest part with an internship is or a job is landing an interview. And once you get there, you can, it's kind of like, all right, now you just sweet talk your way into the company and tell them why you really want to work there and everything. Um, so I was really lucky in that aspect, but I think Ithaca College really that having that on my resume really played a big role in getting that role.
100%. That actually brings me perfectly into my next question, which is sort of concerning connections. How important would you say maintaining and making connections has been for all these opportunities that you've had?
Definitely very important. And especially with NBC, like I said, I got to meet a bunch of different people and I wrote so many thank you cards once it came to the end of my internship. And people are really thankful for that when you do that, and it shows that you care. And I'm still in contact with a bunch of the people that I met there, and they want to hear updates about your career. They let you know if they hear of any opportunities. They pass your name along if PAs are needed, or they'll ask for your resume. I had plenty of people that asked for me to send them my resume when I hadn't even done anything production related for them. I just like knew how they liked their coffee or something, and they're like, "Okay, like what do you want to do like after this? Like you don't want to get coffee forever, but like what are you interested in?" And they really care and they keep you in mind when they need when someone's looking to fill a role. And I don't know, even if you're doing something as small as getting coffee and food or printing a rundown, if you're doing it with a smile on your face and people can tell that you just enjoy being in that kind of environment, then that makes all the difference. And people like working with fun people. So it's just so important to, always be nice and and but yeah, yeah, it's great. And I think that everybody in the industry is really good at keeping connections and wanting to meet for coffee and whatever. It's been really awesome. And even like the connections I made while I was at Ithaca, I still talk to a bunch of people that I met on like our New York City trips or guest speakers that we had in NIFSA or something like that, or people from past internships. Because you never know who might know somebody too, and they can help you if you're looking for a job or a freelance opportunity or something. Yeah, they're definitely not lying when you say that connections are everything.
Yes, and I love that you highlight that it's sort of I think for a lot of people, the idea of connections feels very tedious and sort of silly because it's like, oh, I'm not actually showing you what I can do. You don't actually know me. But sometimes it really is just about showing that you are competent, A, and nice, B. And that can
Yeah,
be enough for someone to take interest in you and say, okay, this person has potential, maybe. I don't know. Let's see what.
definitely. Yeah, and if I mean if you're showing interest in that person and what they're doing and that you want to work in that field or in that space, I mean I think that's the most important thing. And yeah, if you get along well with people and you can work with other people in a team, then that is like everything. And yeah, as long as you can prove that you're competent, like there's not too much that you can't do. So
Absolutely. Well, to close us out, I'd love to hear two things. One, what your next steps are, where you're headed next, and two, just some any other sort of advice that you might have for current students who would like to foray into the industry.
yeah. So I recently accepted an offer to be a production assistant at Fox Weather. So in a very short 2 weeks, I'm moving to New York City, which is crazy. But we'll figure it out. I don't have a place to live yet, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. But I'm so excited for that. I mean, I'm just so happy to have a full-time role soon after graduation in a big city for such a big, well-known company. And the role of a production assistant, especially in this job, seems really versatile. And like I'll get to do a lot of different things and I'll get to be in the control room when they're having their live show and everything. And I'm really excited for that and to see where that takes me, I guess. I would say for people in school, like I said earlier, like say yes to everything, try everything, and make the most of it. Like they're really not lying when they say that it goes by in the blink of an eye. Like I cannot believe I am done school. So try everything that you can. You might feel overwhelmed and busy in the moment, but in the long run, like it's so worth it. And like I said, with the safety net of being in school, like at the end of the day, you're doing all of this for your own education and to figure out what you like and what you don't like before there are like, I don't know, real world consequences. So I don't know. I would just say make the most of it and maybe try something you don't think you would have tried. Step out of your comfort zone because it's like you're literally like in the perfect place to do that for these 4 years, and you never know what's going to happen afterwards and what opportunities you may or may not get after that. So, yeah, say yes to everything and try everything and be as helpful and kind and versatile as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's terrific. Well, thank you so much, Catherine, for taking some time out of your day to speak with me.
Thank you. It was great to be here.
And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. We will be back again very, very shortly.